Yes, please stand. Prayer. Stretch our God, Father, now we come to you now, Lord, with great heart, of all blessings upon us. Father, we thank you for this day, for the rain, but all, Lord, we thank you for your for us. Father, we thank you for our county, for our city, for our elected officials. We ask, Lord, God, Lord, as we go into our meeting tonight, that way we'll accomplish according to your will. Always care for the honor and praise of the Lord for Christ, amen. Amen. I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome tonight. Thanks for meeting. How important it has been now. We're here now. I will mess up somewhere. Please bear with us. We have one addition to the agenda. Item 8A is consent. Additional mud application on 999. We have one removal from the agenda. Item number 25. Commissioner Payne is asking to remove the agenda. Is there additions? 27 with them. Pleasure of the board. Move 27 and 31 to consent. How is number 33? Will that work? How about number 4A? Any additions or deletions? Yes. Number 33 being the update on Green Street paving. Okay. Anything else? Chairman, I move the agenda be adopted as amended. Motion by Commissioner Page to adopt the agenda amendment, second by Commissioner Patterson. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve minutes from July 17th special meeting and August 30th. Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Patterson. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 4A, Mr. Jack Brown. Conrad, does he need to fill a disclosure in his office or? Okay. Anything else? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Commissioner Page, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Comments and concerns of the public are not mentioned in items. I want to give you a heads up. I may be stopping from time to time to take care of the public hearings, so we can give you a heads up ahead of time. That being said, comments and concerns of the public are not mentioned in items. Seeing none? Dale? Go from there.
I would like to reconsider the moving the board meeting. Too much.
I know we're also looking at the courtroom, buddy, and the staff looking over that, so hopefully we'll be able to address that really quick. Number 11, the board received an update from the Stanford Water Association, or go to the board on September 7th. I saw them. There you are. I'll give the same caveat as earlier. I may stop you for so long. I apologize. Go ahead.
I apologize for not being at the last county commissioner meeting that you held. I was actually at the Dixie County Commissioner meeting that evening, and it's the same, or that day, it was the same time. We did sign the agreement between Dixie County and Steve Hatchie. So we are prepared to provide wastewater services to Gina. And we've got that agreement in place, and we're moving forward with that. The plan at this time is we're moving forward with trying to create a GUA, if you will. Now we've recently hired an attorney out of Tallahassee, Mr. Michael Spillman. It represents a firm that used to represent the city of Tallahassee. And what we've tasked him with doing is giving us a list of governance options so we can look at what our options are as far as the GUA, as far as some other government entity that will allow us to get the funding for these projects and make it a regional utility and everything that we had talked about before. So that is still moving forward. We also have hired Tammy Ray of Haskell Engineering for administrative services. She since then hired Danny Collins, who was Governor Boyd's assistant, and put him on her staff to go after legislative and congressional appropriations for our projects. So all that's moving forward. We have a meeting tomorrow with Swanee River Water Management to go after some other funding for some of these projects through Swanee River Water Management, and look at the availability of property for water plants and such. And that meeting's scheduled for tomorrow. We're going to present another option to Dixie County on Thursday at their county commissioner meeting, and that's basically we're going to seek some appropriations and some funding under the Dixie County umbrella for the water plant we're going to put in Dixie County. Now all of these things that we're putting together are moving toward this GUA at the same time. Part of the agreement with Dixie County added the Dixie County Commissioner for Gina to our water board. We've amended our bylaws, and that amendment is up for the membership on the 3rd of October at our annual meeting. And what we've done to our bylaws, and I spoke with Mr. DeVay earlier, is we added also the Taylor County Commissioner for Steve Hatchie to our board, those two positions. So our board will go from being a 7-member board to being a 9-member board with representation from both Dixie and Taylor counties on it. In order to basically give equal representation to both counties and to have county commissioner involvement in our process, so that we're not operating outside of your knowledge, basically. Because where we're headed is basically a regional utility that you will own. The counties will own. In addition to us. I mean, we're not going to be out there by ourselves. It's going to be governed by the counties and by us. And I talked to Mr. DeVay about it, and because I wanted him to know before this meeting that was being thrown at him. Also with adding the county commissioners, we're giving the option of the county commissioners or their appointee. And basically we gave them that option so that we weren't throwing them to the wolves, and we understand their time is valuable and they don't have time always to come to all our meetings and participate in everything, but they can appoint a representative to that position. And that would be an option. Well, we don't. Yeah, absolutely. We're not appointing him to our board. What we're doing is we're making that position available to him. If he doesn't wish to fill that position, or this board doesn't wish to fill that position, that's totally at your option. Right. And Right. And what we're looking for is we're looking for your participation in this process. We don't want to be out there doing something that you would disapprove of. I mean, that's not what we want. And by the same token, Dixie County would want to do something that they disapprove of. So this whole process is still moving forward, and we're still working on it. Yes, it has. As a matter of fact, we had a meeting talking about the agreement we just signed, and I actually brought it up. I brought it to the meeting and said, you have copies of this. This is the direction that we would like to go. And they had seen it. And they had it. I don't know what their complete reaction to it is, or what have you. And I'll tell you what we're doing with forming this GUA is to a large extent plagiarizing that document. And because it's already created, it's already there, and as I told Dixie County, I presented it to them, and we talked about it, and I told them that this is a good document, this is a good plan. And I've since then taken that same document, giving it to our new attorney that's going to give us these governance options, and giving it to our administrative services people, and they're going to take it and put this all together, and we're going to try and pull the two counties together and make this happen.
Any questions on the board? I have all good. Last week we had you all here. I did this point in your organization. Perspective Stewart. I'd like to know and understand more about that. Why you guys want to step forward?
Your last meeting was, what was the date of that last meeting?
V7. Thursday.
Of the 7th. Of the day meeting. When the day meeting?
Okay, that was. I should have asked what month that was in. Because I have right here in front of me the application from Ideal Fish Camp that's dated June 29th, 06. Ideal Fish Camp came to us and filled out this application. Mr. Gregory Preble and Mr. Steve Bucci, I do believe. So they were fully aware and basically already on board with it. We had already had the discussions. We had already talked about putting sewer to their project. After your last meeting, there was one of our board members was at that meeting. He immediately called me, and I immediately called them because he said they were there and they didn't know anything about us. And I called them and said, you were there and didn't know anything about us, and I have your paperwork right here in front of me. And they apologized and explained that they knew they were on board. They knew what was going on. The next day they came to my office and basically we drafted contracts to deliver service to their development. I wasn't at that meeting. I don't know what transpired in this room. I don't know what they were saying. But I was a little upset. when I got a call from one of our board members that someone was before this board telling you that they hadn't heard of us, and I already drafted contracts for them. Well, here's their on this document is their completion date, 6/07, and we meet that timeline by 5 months. I mean, we have no problem meeting that timeline, and we explain that to them in the meeting with them when they fill this document out. I mean,
Let me stop you just for a second. Item number 17, the board received proposal for construction of Park side improvement at 610. Did not hold that public hearing. We received no bids for that. Item number 18, the board received bids for bird rack. I didn't think it took a second to stay there. Platform construction project, reconstruction project, except for this date at 6:15 p.m. Clay Olson, Dustin South, and Brianne Hoover. Clay's going to come before nothing for us. All I have to do. You can come in here and do it, so we can keep on with you.
okay. So as far as our process, what we've been doing, and to kind of bring you up to speed on the process of us contacting the developers or them contacting us. Normally what happens, they come to us for water. They have to come to us, or they don't get water. When they come to us for water, we discuss sewer and how to meet the needs of their project. We have them fill this form out. That basically gives us who's your engineer. So we have a contact to get site plans, so that we have timelines on their project, so we understand where their project is. And then we move into basically the contractual portion of it. And sometimes that may take months, and sometimes that may take days. And it's basically to meet their timeline. When they have a timeline that's out, they don't have site plans, for instance, but they're planning a project. It may be 6 months before they're back in my office again. But I've got this document that says we've talked to them. And then when they come back in my office, ready to come before your board for their site plan or what have you, then we come up with contracts and that sort of thing, and we move through this process. One of the things after that meeting that we did, the recommendation of our board members, is we contacted your building department. We set up a meeting for tomorrow afternoon because we need to better document what we're doing, and what their requirements, so we can figure out what do they need and what do we need to provide them for these projects. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, I couldn't be there because I have that Swanee River Water Management meeting, and I was told that 3 o'clock was fine, and it would be going on. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Me, I have a concern. I have a developer up here telling me one thing up here, they're saying, hey, you got an application. I do want to watch that, because if we're going to go forward, we need to have sleep, and some of these problems, I'm not sure what there's happening there.
I
hope you guys, I can't even sound like y'all did your work. I'm concerned about development. We're asking them next time.
Right, and that's right, and that's sort of what I'm looking for tomorrow from this other is what coordinating this communication so that we know what you need to have in front of you when somebody approaches you and says, "You've never heard of Steenhatchee Water Association," you can go, well, apparently you have. Right, here's your application to Steenhatchee Water Association.
I don't think he said that.
What?
And when did the application you're talking about, when did the application?
It was June 29th is when
That's the
they,
official application they applied
for us to provide water and sewer to their project. When they came to us and said, we'd like water and sewer. And we sat down with them, we looked at their site plans at that point, and we looked at the availability. Because depending on where these projects are, we may not be able to meet their timeline. I mean, that's a realistic expectation. In the future, if there may be a development that's 15 miles north of where we're putting in pipeline, and we can't meet their requirements without a huge amount of funding to run a pipeline to them. And we have to look at those options. So every one of them we evaluate individually. This one in particular, the pipeline is already running right in front of their property, through part of their property. So it's no issue as far as putting this development online.
Appreciate all the effort.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I heard what I wanted to hear, that he's going to be asking those questions.
We're going to coordinate, how we're going to provide information to the club that they need to contact, so we'll see where that, or get them set, that they include our, including the health department, and look at that, so look at that, and receive that information after our open.
Got any more questions? Got any more questions? We have two bids for the burn racks, the first one being for $80,000 from Maryland Marine Construction Incorporated. The second one being $59,685. It's from Shippers Marine Construction Incorporated. Buddy, the clerk's office has both the bids. Time being 6:20 or shortly thereafter, the board should hold the first public hearing set for this date at 6:20 p.m. LDC 06-1, removing the 15-acre exemption on private roads. Consider the first reading of the proposed ordinance adopting said amendment. Ask for a motion to read by title only. Motion by Commissioner Day. Second by Commissioner Page. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Time may go for it. Wish to address the amendment? You want to read it? You want to read it? Yeah. Go ahead.
Designation of plans as a major minor development. Purposes of the subdivision, all development plans shall be designated by the zoning director as either minor or major development. As such, in the question, Jack, I would suggest you ask, and that's why you have 2 hearings on this. So ask Danny, and then I'm not the author of this. This is the North Central Florida Regional Planning Council.
Danny where it says, section 42, that's 137, page 1, it says, each of which has at least 60 feet of frontage on the existing county maintained road and any division of land in 2 or more of 40 acres. That is 4.
Excuse me, once again.
Are both of those required? To me, it's saying that you got to have 60-foot frontage on the existing county road for 15 acres, and any division of land in 2 or more of 40 acres, each of which has at least an existing 60 feet of frontage on the existing driveways.
And is the right word. Go ahead.
And that's the servicing not more than 24 parcels. Is 24 parcels also an addition?
Yes.
Explain more clearly the 24 parcels. You lost me in that part.
Well,
As I understand it,
when you reach the threshold of 40-acre parcels that are divided off of a private roadway or easement, the maximum that can be done is 24 parcels.
24, 40-acre parcels.
And as a side note, I'm technically not the author of this author.
Right.
But that would, the maximum that you could do that before you would have to, do road improvements would be 24 parcels.
All the county roads have 60-foot right-of-ways right now.
No.
Now, the 15-acre parcels with the 60-foot on the public.
It's fronted
that-
on the road, not
that'd be
a
a flag
right
lot.
of way width of the road.
That would be a flag lot, mostly
Yes.
60 feet. So,
Right.
my question is, let's say they're on abutting a county road where they have right-of-way on a county road, but we don't have 60 foot.
Where it's requiring 60 foot of frontage, not a 60 foot
Okay,
right
so
of
it's
way.
only 60 foot of frontage, not 60 foot of right-of-way.
Right.
And we got, because that was the question that was asked earlier, was how much right-of-way are required?
Now, this would not require a specific right of way width if it's a county maintained road.
But it's a private road. I mean, it's not written here, but where we're saying it's got to be the right-of-way width for a public.
The policy we've used in the past, and that's what I foresee as being used on the 40-acre parcels, is that we do a site visit, and if it looks like a road, and you can drive down it like a road, and we all agree that it's a road, then we consider it a road. We don't, look at the width. Most of the time, you don't have a right-of-way there anyway.
Right, because, what we're getting into is, we're not concerned about, we're not requiring the public to be more than the county does.
Anyone else from the public? Dale?
My name is Dale Rowell. I'd like to save myself some time and y'all too. And all of these ordinance tonight that's on the agenda, I have some problems with, except for the 2 on the signs and the power line right-of-ways. Our LDRs is, and I've used this quite often, is like our Bible in development. I don't mean to be that sacrilegious in saying that, but it is a book, and you got one section here that affects something, and you change this, and you change the meaning somewhere else. One of the major concerns I have in all these 3 that we're talking about now on the 15-acre flag lot, and the reason why I'm mentioning all 3, I'm not going to get back up here. I hope that you remember when we talk about these other ones that I don't get back up and stutter and spill around. But on all 3 of them, there, in our LDR comprehensive plan, there is an exemption for family division of property. That relates only to divisions, only to density. You have to meet all the other requirements of the LDRs. If I want to give my daughter a 1 acre in Shady Grove, which I can't give none of y'all, we decided that the other night. But if I want to give them a 1 acre requirement, a lot up there, we still got to meet all the other requirements. One of the things that y'all need to be considering tonight is the effect that it has on economic value. I know that urban sprawl is a bad word, but then again, when you look at what urban sprawl is in development, there's not too much difference. In urban sprawl to me is uncontrolled development where development is good. If we want to do things like this, tighten up development, one thing you're doing, you're taking away the ability of me. I own 85 acres, okay? And I have a private road that goes into it that you can't drive down. I'm not going to say invite you. Everybody's invited. But before you change this, I can go in there and break this up. And if I want to sell my land, I'm going to have to go in there and pave that road because of this. I actually have a 70-foot right-of-way going into mine. But based upon this, you're affecting the value of my land. If we don't have development, what we're going to end up is we're all going to be in apartments and townhouses. We keep looking at South Florida. We don't want to be like Miami-Dade County where everybody lives right on top of each other. And when you do this, when you pass this, approve this, these requirements, you're going to restrict anybody that owns any property the ability to go in and subdivide it. Break it up into 50. If somebody wanted to sell 15 acres this year and 15, it's kind of like a retirement fund. And that's what it is to most people's retirement. You're going to prevent them to do it. So what's going to happen is somebody's going to come in and buy your property at a wholesale price, develop it and get a big price out of it, you know. And as property goes on and it's subdivided more and more, there are other requirements of our existing rules that would require paving and building of roads. So, you know, if you get in there, if you get outside the 15-acre exemption, and it's on, if we don't have an existing road or easement going to it, you can't do it no way. If you build a road, you're going to have to build a road. You're going to have to go through Swanee River. You're going to have to get ERP. You're going to have to hire a surveyor. Yeah, that's good. I like that. But anyway, it's not good for the public. It's not good for economical value. We have a different opinion on what good development is and what's bad. Inconvenient River Preserve has been viewed by this board as a bad example of what's going on. Their process included coming to the Tech Review Committee, meeting with the Tech Review Committee, taking the county manager, county engineer, and county road department manager out to look at it. And they said, yeah, this looks like a road and you're meeting the requirements. The only thing that, and then we took it for the planning and zoning board. And I said, yeah, you're meeting all of our requirements. The only thing that I see is that they didn't do is get an ERP permit from Swanee River Water Management District, and they're working on correcting that today. A project very similar to that is what I call the Yellow Jacket project is out on County Line, Yellow Jacket area up in there. We brought that up into tracks and took it for the district, Water Management District. They didn't have a problem with it. We didn't have to do nothing. And so, you know, you look, I did this yesterday, and I can do this today. And I can do the same thing today. And that's the basis of what happened with the Inconvenient River Preserves. I think some of the things that we could do to prevent that in the future, I'll find my notes because I don't have a real good memory. We talked about a few times before the board, and Mr. Gunner, you don't like a disclosure statement being required. I understand that. You know, I mean, but then again, everybody that buys a piece of property should know what they're buying. They should know if it's the county road or whatever. And if I do a disclosure statement, I come, this road is maintained by this homeowners association, or this road is maintained by the county with the MSBU tax attached to it. I think we should do that. This is in a flood zone. You know, I like the idea that the district has. Now the district is giving Danny y'all a computer that you can go online and look to see if it's in wetlands or anything like that. You ain't seen one? Well, they said they was going to do it. But anyway, I think that's a good idea, that when they go into the building and planning department, you can look and see where you're getting into. And that's a good checkpoint on new development, these 15 acres. No, you can't build in the wetlands. We don't want to build in, don't want to have anybody build into a wetlands. In a floodplain, we want to make sure that they're high enough above the floodplain that they're not flooded. Some of these pieces of property are 20 miles from an existing power line. Somebody's got to pay for that power to get put in there. They need to know that you're going to have to pay $3,000 a mile or whatever what the cost is to get power run to your house, and you're going to have to pay a large bill each month to pay for that. And that's where the disclosure statement would help for us. Another a clause in every homeowners association or property owner association should be that if the entity fails, then the county has the right to impose an MSPU tax on the property with only a public hearing and notification of the owners. And so a lot of times property owner associations just don't do what they're supposed to do. And y'all's hands are tied. And down at, I believe it's Yates Creek where we have the problem with the roads, several of them. But anyway, if we didn't require that on all homeowners associations, and basically what I'm asking you to do is, let's go approve these tonight. Let's go back to the drawing board, hold some workshops, and I got a lot of input. This is just some of it that I'd like to bring in, but I won't type it here, and I can sit here and talk to you a long time. But and I'm not going to speak on the other one, but the other three, the flag lots and the road issue, is all related to these same issues. Any questions for me?
Just for clarification, I'm not against disclosure.
I
I'm
understand.
against more government regulation.
Oh, I understand exactly. And so,
Some faces cringe when you said that. I want to make sure they understand. I'm not against.
well, I understand your hesitancy to impose new regulation. That's what we're doing tonight. And what you're doing tonight, you're tightening up the strings. You're trying to prevent urban sprawl, and I understand that. I understand it. And good development does not necessarily mean that you're not going to.
I just want to clarify. I'm not against. I think everybody should disclose.
I know that exactly. I know exactly where you stand. Thank you for listening to me, and hope you'll consider what I asked.
Meg?
My name is Meg Fleming. I live in Steinhatchee. First of all, I happen to agree with Mr. Rao that I think that all of these clauses that we currently have that have been continually modified through the years probably need to be looked at in whole so that each clause is in conjunction and working properly with all others. As a contract writer, I would do that myself. I can't imagine that I would allow a contract change to occur without a full review. So I do agree that that needs to be done. However, unlike Mr. Rao, I disagree that the property values would be decreased if they were required to put in infrastructure to support this type of division of property. And the reason I think that is because, obviously, if you have a piece of property that has full access for fire, power, sewer, water, emergency medical services versus a hopefully maintained, no offense to the county, but they're not always done, maintained road that is typically, at least in Steinhatchee a number of times, covered with large boulders or have grass on them or potholes, it just makes it that much more difficult to take care of the people that are going to move there. My biggest concern about this is that as a taxpayer, I listened for the last 38 days, all of you in conjunction at different meetings, talk about the fact that we don't have enough money for the infrastructure. If we possibly allow people now to go down this route without requiring them to put in the infrastructure, then I have to pay for it 15 years down the road when they continue to sell that property and you put the roads in. I'm the one that has to pay. Everybody has to pay here. But they've already reaped the benefit of this. And so I have a problem with any development getting done without the full infrastructure being put in. That's what I feel about that.
Councilor Howard, are you stand rising to approach us?
Yes, sir.
That's good, Mr. Conrad. My name is Trey Howard. I'm here for two reasons tonight. First reason is selfish. Hopefully, one day when my father passes on, he will leave me some land. No. I don't want him to pass on, but hopefully when he does, when he does,
T-R-E-Y.
I'm the only child of an only child, so maybe I'll get what little bit of land they've accumulated. How's that? Is that better?
That sounds better.
I'm sorry. I do not want my father to pass away. We're trying to build a house, and he's my only savior in the house. Building a house, a pregnant wife, and starting a new job, if that don't make you drink, I don't know what will.
So for clarification, you want to wait after the house is built, you're trying to say?
Right. But the first thing is, I'm being stingy, and I do also represent several developers that, all developers are stingy. But this will affect them as well, so I'm here for two reasons tonight. First off, I understand when I looked at what was sent to the Planning and Zoning Board for these, this was done in an effort to maintain roads and create infrastructure. I truthfully believe that there are less restrictive means, as Darrell pointed out a while ago, to carry out these. Mr. Dale came up with some good ideas, and I think there are a lot of other people in the county that could come up with good ideas. I do think we need a way to maintain these roads. Mr. Bethea has stated that homeowner associations don't work. Homeowner associations in the past haven't worked here, but that doesn't mean that we can't work with the county attorney, people in the community, to make a homeowner association that has some teeth to it. They are out there. Actually, the one that ITERA did up in the north end of the county has some pretty big teeth in it. Has a way of collecting the fees. I don't know if you've seen it, Mr. Conrad, but there's money in there to collect if somebody doesn't pay, which I don't think was in the ones that you saw earlier. There are other ways to collect money to maintain roads than imposing this. You're looking at 15 acres is what we got now in this exemption on an existing road. Basically, in my mind, and Danny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to bump it up to 40, but only 24 units, which, there's a magic number in there. I don't know what that is. But to me, it's already 15. That's worked in the past. That's a pretty big chunk of land. It's not to some of us in this room, but to a fellow that's lived in St. Pete all his life on a quarter acre, 15 acres is a big place. And he doesn't want to move up here to a paved road. He does, however, want to move up here to a nice road. He wants to move up here where he can come and go, two-wheel drive traffic, an ambulance can get to his house, fire truck can get to his house. And I believe there is a less restrictive means other than this exemption, than this amendment tonight. And I would ask respectfully that y'all vote no on this amendment, and that we do have a public workshop to create something else. Thank y'all for your time.
Anyone else?
You want to stand quick?
Yeah, they hear from us.
One last.
I'm getting questions from everybody. As long as you're not my wife, you can ask all the questions you want.
What's your last 32 meetings?
Well, Mr. Dale pointed out a couple. He pointed out homeowner association with a backup MSBU in it. It may be it's an MSBU. I don't have the solution right now, but I think it requires us to sit down. When I say us, I mean the community as a whole with the commissioners in a public workshop and come up with a less restrictive means. I'm sorry.
I don't have any problem. I'm not smart to sell 15 acres. I don't have any problem with that. Not having to have a paper, I don't have any problem with that. But when you start building houses, and, people, when they build a house, they're expecting the fire department to show up.
Yes, sir.
They're expecting the ambulance to show up.
And scuba.
And school.
And I know that beyond reason.
I believe in property rights and stuff, and, people all ought to be able to divide your land, I know Reiner employs land, but at the same time, what we're looking for is how do you ensure that you get, a homeowners association that does what it's supposed to do when the state of Florida has recognized that homeowners associations don't work, that there are major problems with homeowners associations.
And that's a very valid point. There have been in the past.
So, I mean, we had a public hearing on this. We had a workshop, I agree, maybe this is not the best option. One of the things we did talk about is like, down south, they have honey, where we've got something about 15-acre plots or something, or 5-acre, and there's an agreement that there's not going to be county services, and that you're not going to build on those. And your trailers, and you're going to have honey trailers or something like that. You're going to have some type of sewage. But what we got to look at is, if we're going to be expected to provide those services, and how do we do that without being a burden on the rest of the taxpayers of the community?
And I agree with you. I'm still not, I don't mean to interrupt you. We've talked before, and I think an MSBU is a wonderful thing. Some of the folks I work for don't think it's a wonderful thing. But in my heart of hearts, I believe that is a way, the money gets collected. The money's there. There's 100% private MSBUs available for a private road. And Mr. Conrad can shed some more light on that for us.
There is, but all that needs to be captured before you start some property.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. But if y'all enact this tonight, then it's going to jump me up to 40 acres at my house, and that's y'all's option. I just would request that we do, if it takes setting up an MSBU for the private roads, then to me it's about compromise. Y'all want a way to take care of these roads, and I understand that wholeheartedly. I don't want my granddaddy to have to pay for somebody else. I want him to pay for his road and his part of the taxes, but I don't want him coming up here and having to pay his part of the taxes to build a road for some fellow coming up here buying a bunch of land. And I agree with Mr. Bethea on that. But by the same token, I also don't want this to be taken away from him. I mean, he would never sell, but if he did, this is a less restrictive option for him if that's what he wants to do. And I just hate to see that bumped up to 40 acres just because we want to get services. I'm sorry.
So you're proposing we leave it at 15 acres?
Yes, sir.
And that you can divide land into 15-acre tracts on private roads. But you're wanting the private road to be, for an MSPU to be set up, take care of these private roads, rather than what's described here.
I would prefer that rather than the language we have here. Yes, sir.
Well, how would you feel about that?
Well, the existing rule says it's on existing roads or easements, then you're exempt, Okay, once you get out of where you have existing roads or easements, then under present rules, you've got to build a road, whatever you get in there. You're going to get under the Swan River Water Management District rules that says that you got to have an ERP, someone has to maintain those roads, so either you don't have to go through the MSBB process, somebody's got to maintain that road, we'll have to bring that road to a county level. The county's not going to accept no roads, I guarantee you, without an MSBU on it, it's already through county specifications.
I think the problem here is if you don't pass this, then you don't have an option, because the rules say that if you have existing roads there, they don't have to come to us. They don't have to do anything. And so what we're doing is now setting us a methodology so the developers have to come, and they have to come and look at our standards. But right now, all they have to do right now is come and take a review. The planning board say, yep, you're doing 15-acre lots. And there's logging roads out there, so you don't have to come. And so you don't have to do anything. And so they're above us now. In my research, Madison County has taken this 80 acres. Gulf County totally took it out. Crystal River, they looked at me and said, I forget what county Crystal River is. Citrus. They looked at me and she said, why are you even thinking that way? And basically, I'll just tell you a quick story of this commissioner, who I got to know real well. We discussed it about 2 hours, and the way she became commissioner was through this process. It's basically, she came, involved, and homeowners associations, no roads, no nothing, and the lady that she was having to help her neighbor try to take care of, she was having to take her to court. And so if you want a good community, I have this in my district already, you know, neighbors pointing at those people won't pay their dues. And so you just set up a lot of dynamics, a lot of things, and I think this is one of those areas we've had in our plan. We never foresaw the kind of development we're seeing today, and we've got to have some way to manage this development, because if we don't get the infrastructure in today, 15 years from now, whenever you have a 15-acre parcel that's subdivided, you know, if they live there and they have 4 kids, and then, you know, according to our rules, family rules, they can subdivide that, and now you've got, you know, a number of homes on 15 acres and no roads to support that. Still, I think that's a key issue, and that's a burden we don't want to put, and that's not good enough.
I just want to comment, I'm not against changing the rules. Okay, but I feel like, and you said we had a public workshop on this, we had my understanding we discussed in the county meeting, and I don't think we had a public hearing on it.
That was, we were here that afternoon.
I know it was here, but then,
It was back Friday.
Anyway, you know, there are some other rule changes in here that need to be made, and what I'd like to see is that postpone it, so we can have a workshop with other changes that need to be made. You talking about the family condition, I think that's a constitutional right that I would give.
This doesn't affect.
It's not, you say it doesn't, it doesn't.
It does.
How?
If all of the family, we put it to the side.
Yeah, I read it, the notes, and I still can't figure out how it does.
All right.
The staff doesn't see it.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
While you're looking it up,
Basically, what it says is.
No, look it up. Have to look it up.
wow,
The family extension is for density requirements only. It has to meet all other requirements.
I'm going to have to speak to that also.
Trey, you may sit down.
And I think I'm just going to summarize for the board what I read in both the comprehensive plan and the land development code. The comprehensive plan contains mandatory language that requires a building permit be eligible for property conveyed between family members. That's in the comprehensive plan. It treats such transfers as non-conforming parcels that shall continue to be eligible for the issuance of residential building permit, subject to setback and concurrency. The Land Development Code specifically exempts division of land among family members from submittal and recordation requirements for lot splits. The definition of minor development within the Land Development Code, in my opinion, is incapable of superseding the authority of the provisions of the comprehensive plan. In short, division of property among family members does not meet the definition of development requiring platting.
Okay, now, before Meg asks, I want to ask instead, translate that so everybody understands it, please.
Well, the comp plan says that family members can divide property and they will be eligible for a building permit. The Land Development Code can't supersede that.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
The LPR cannot supersede.
Okay.
Hang on 1 minute, Mr. Green, okay? Mr. Growl's fixing to.
In this one of our land use districts, it has this language. And we're going to keep what you density can be.
Where you at, John?
I'm in section 42, 382, and it's in all the subsections. And it's also listed in, I got another reference on it also. And it's in all district applications. And after it says not to exceed 1 unit per 2 acres, this transfer of property to members of the principals, owners, and immediate family is allowable without regard to the density and limitation, provided that all other applicable requirements are met during development. So if you're going to require me to give them a 60-foot access out to a on-county road,
Six foot frontage.
I understand, but here's where we talk about all three of the proposed changes that I have been concerned with. And I am not trying to, so, we do need to review the orders. But I feel like in its present written stage, we can do a better job. And if this is an example of what Blue Water Regional Planning Council can give us, then I recommend that go up to the contract. And I call the Blue Water.
Now, they did not create this land.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought what was said.
The land council did not create this land.
Okay. I feel that was wrong. You know,
And some of us agree with you on that statement, so go ahead.
okay. And then in our, and see, one thing we keep changing things and we don't say where we're coming from in our comprehensive plan. And I appreciate the board allowing me to serve on the planning and zoning board for about 10 years. I had selfish reasons, but I wanted to understand these rules and regulations so that they, my business, okay? I think I'm a better surveyor in the fact that I can go to the Bible and tell you what verse and chapters you need to look at. Another, on sidebar there, in our contracts that we do with developers, we tell them that they have to comply with all the rules, but we're not interested in working for. It's written, we're out of standard format language that we do, and we say up front, you got to meet the requirements, but we're not interested in working with you. But in policy, I think it's I-8.6, it says partial land conveyed between family members of member of descent for the purpose of providing guarantee the transaction of personal residential building lot shall be eligible for the issuance of a residential building permit, even though the parcel conveyed is non-conforming as the side and the concurrent conveyance takes place after the date of adoption of this comprehensive plan.
Isn't that just what Danny read?
It is, but you said that the comprehensive plan.
You're reading the comprehensive plan,
Well, I'm not, but I read, we read it up out the land development regulation. And I know things are fine. And, but I can't find, we have to
What
really
you're
say.
saying is if they come in conflict with the comprehensive plan stuff,
I understand, I was telling you that it didn't.
you're saying that it doesn't?
I'm saying it doesn't.
Is there a conflict or that the comprehensive plan does not, supersede the
I think, my point is that this exemption only covers the density requirement. All the other requirements you have to meet, including setback,
Setbacks and concurrency, that planning is a wholly different issue, it's not addressed by the comp plan. And say only, in my opinion, the comp plan clearly supersedes the land development code, in my opinion, in that, and that properties divided by family members are eligible for a building permit, period.
I understand that, and Mr. Grimer is very knowledgeable and helpful person. But you want to make sure that these rules are written so that they can be lived by when Mr. Grimer comes. We had a different person in the planning and zoning department at one time that required every family that wanted to do this to come before the planning and zoning board. We had one lady that come from Alabama to attend the planning and zoning board meeting. And when she got there, we told her, why are you here? And she said, well, it's over here, it's doing the meeting.
So you're saying that the 60-foot frontage was not compliant?
Family member division of property has never, there's never been a plat submitted or recorded by family. There's been some before the board that, had properties that want to buy less than 1 acre or where there's a question. And I can't speak to what came before the board if I wasn't directly involved. But if it doesn't require planning, then they're not going to be subject to road widths or easements and.
What if we put a statement to that effect in this?
All I'm saying is that the land use change business, the parameters that the amendments tonight need to be revisited. I'm not against.
Do you have a recommended change in the language?
I'm not at all. All I'm saying is, as long as Mr. Grimer thinks the building and planning department over there, I feel like that we've got a level head that works over there. And he's good to work with. If you're wrong, he'll take the case up front. And he'll do that.
But to me, if we put a disclaimer in this language that says talking about this density park and family park. And I was in Sumter County, and I had some property that was limited, like, all the others that were going to do. And I didn't have enough land for my father-in-law and mother-in-law to move next to me. My father-in-law liked me real good for some reason, probably everywhere I went. But when I went to do it, I could get a permit. And they said the only way I could get a permit is go before the board, county commission, not come zoning board, county commission, and state my case, the reason that I wanted them to be there, and what the purpose was. They couldn't be there just because I wanted them there. And they couldn't be there just because I had the land for them to be there and had room for them to sit there. There had to be a reason for them to need to be there. So we used the health reason. Because their health was bad, and they would need someone close to them to help take care of them. And that's the way they've done their density park. If you wanted to just go by the route, and if you in a density park and you want to come bring it down, and you had to go before the board and give them a good reason. If it wasn't a good reason, they wouldn't set it. So I was there tonight, they turned people down. Can't have it. But I had a reason, and they accepted my reason and granted it. But they said, when they die or pass away, then this land cannot be resold or redone. You got to move the trailer. We put a trailer on it, but there's no white trailer. And they said, you're going to have to move it because it's no longer in effect. So they make them give good reasons, and the board, listens to what their reasons for wanting it, where they want it at. In other words, if you got 10 acres, and you're going to want a family member there, and it's 1 to 5, well, why not put families in the other 5? That's the way they look at it. They didn't like it. The question. And they was pretty well straight with it. But if you go before the board and give your case, and then they would either accept it or not accept it. If they didn't accept it, you could get it.
Thank you, Mr. Dranger. Man, anything else?
Just one thing, I have a personal problem with the issue of deeding to family members, because when the family members die, let's face it, we're all going, and they start to sell that property off, I'm back to the same problem of the county having to pay the road to get to that house. And I just have a problem with that. So I would just suggest that if you're gonna look at these, pass what you have, build the group, and have them go look at the rest of the rules and so. If you choose not to do that, then I think you need to also put into place something that says, because we know this is an issue and something we want to resolve, we're going to retroactive it back to this date of the commission meeting, or whatever the date of the second proposal, or something like that, because you have to kind of put a stake in the ground at some point and say, this is what we want our town to be built out as and to be paid for.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to pass the amendment as written.
Have a motion by Commissioner McCain.
We're gonna have another hearing.
Way to go, Clay. Just mess up there. Gary doesn't keep me on task quite as well as anybody does. He'd have popped you a copy by now, so. Anything else? Sure, go ahead. Now, you don't want your dad to die or anything, or
I want him out
just
this.
say hands up, he's in the back of the room, still having first hand, so.
I want him out.
We've already texted him, so don't worry.
We're working on it. If you text him, he figured it out.
Sorry about that, Keith, go ahead.
I've got one question, and then maybe just a brief suggestion. The 24 parcels that's referred to there, is that new parcels, or if we've got a road with 22 parcels on it, if we create 2 more parcels, does that kick us into the
Like I say now,
regulation?
more parcels is not my creation.
I know.
The way I would look at it, is if you've got 2 or 3 independent parcels now, I would consider them independent.
So it'd be creating 24 new parcels on a road. But I think the intent of all this can be worked. The acreage, 15 to 40 acres, I'm not sure how that really
solves the problem. I think you can leave it at 15 acres and create a workable road standard. We've got 4 standards out there now. I think the fourth, the graded road standard, maybe. You've got, okay, paved, lime rock, graded, so 3 standards. The graded road standard looks good for building a new graded road. It can't be applied on any existing roads, you know, or most existing roads in the county. And I think you need to revisit that and maybe create a 4th that is a standard that you can apply to an existing road, bring it up to a passable standard. But I think you can work on that standard for the existing roads, keep it at 15 acres with a workable road standard. You know, any new development, the water management districts will get involved, and through the ERP process, they'll have some rules that will be more restrictive than anything I think y'all will be able to implement. But, you know, I'd just like for you to revisit these rules. And maybe there was a public workshop, but I was able to attend it, but I think you need some more input. And maybe follow the lead of your planning commission, and they voted to at least look at that road standard and voted not to adopt these other amendments. And I'd like for you to look at what they've done and follow that. Thank you.
Don, are you raising your hand or stretching? No problem. I didn't tell if you were trying to get my attention this interview. Anything further? Item number 20, the board to hold.
I didn't make that motion while ago, I read item 24, and it says, board to consider setting second public hearing on Tuesday regarding pass the proposed ordinance. So, I reckon the consensus of the board is just to move on to the second hearing.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
you could kill it tonight.
Yes, you could kill
Okay.
it tonight, but it's going to go, you didn't kill it, then it goes on to the
Yeah.
second public hearing where folks can express their opinion on those present on
Number 20, the board to hold the first of 2 public hearings set for this date, 6:25 p.m., concerning the amendment to LDC 06-2 regarding the flag lot design and road frontage, and to consider the first reading of the proposed ordinance adopting said amendment. Motion to read by title only.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Page, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All, Conrad, go for it.
An ordinance of Taylor County, Florida, amending the Taylor County Land Development Code as amended, adding a new section 42-720 entitled Lot Standards and Restrictions by adding a requirement that lots less than 10 acres shall not have a length greater than 3 times the width. That lots less than 10 acres in size above a private or public road and has road frontage equal to the required lot dimensions in the zone district in which they are located, and defines a flag lot as being 10 acres or greater in size with a minimum of 60 feet width accessing a street, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict with the body and text of day.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Anyone else?
And I wrote, this was not my language here, I don't know. But the reason that, but it did come before we endorsed it, before that. The 10 acres is presently in the comprehensive plan as being the threshold at which you no longer have to comply with a 3-to-1 ratio for lot design. Up to that size, the length of the lot can exceed 3 times the width. And that's why 10 acres was utilized. It's presently in the code, a workable number, testing on the
If I could say one more comment, that Lawrence problem is that the family building to give acreage that we're going to have to, you know, that maybe it's like a lot. That would like to see family exemptions.
Anyone else? Number 21, the board to hold the first 2 public hearings set for this date at 6:30 p.m. or shortly thereafter concerning amendment LDC 06-3 regulating off-site sign size and location, and to consider the first reading of the proposed ordinance adopting said amendment. I'll entertain a motion to read by title only. Motion by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All members say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Conrad.
Ordinance of Taylor County, Florida, amending the Taylor County Land Development Code as amended, amending section 42-461 entitled definitions, by adding the definition of signs, freestanding and signs, followed by amending section 42-466 prohibited signs by deleting the prohibition of ground and pole signs and deleting the prohibition of pole signs 20 feet in height and 200 square feet in size, amending section 42-468 off-site signs by adding the requirement that off-site signs cannot exceed 32 square feet and are limited to one sign per parcel or lot, and amending section 42-465 permit exemptions by adding language that allows small portable signs on non-motor county right-of-ways if the sign contains developments to the adjoining property, providing severability to repealing all ordinances in conflict with providing an effective date.
Anyone from the community wish to speak to this one? Diane?
I can hardly understand that, but is it anything to do with big ugly billboards?
Yeah.
So does it allow big ugly billboards so that we can look more like South Florida here? That seems to be what people want to do, is be more like, lose our rural heritage and look more like places people are escaping from.
Actually, if I understand correctly, and I could be wrong, it's more restrictive, correct, Conrad?
It's more like a brief overview of the changes.
Please. Yeah.
And these are wholly my fault.
For the record, Danny said it was totally his fault, so.
We won't believe that.
The, a part of this was just correction of the code where there were conflicting sections and portions were moved to the definition section where they belong. The main changes are that off-site signs are going to be limited to 32 square feet in size and limited to one sign per parcel or lot, which makes them much less intrusive, and you can't have a dozen of them scattered along one piece of property. The other change was actually spoken to and addressed by the board at an earlier time, and they expressed their desire to allow portable signs such as realtor signs that have relevance to the adjoining property. So that was included in this so we could do it all at one time. Those are the only real changes that there was no outline.
So, let me ask you a question, Dan. What this does is eliminate the large Randy's Hampton Inn billboard signs. There'll be no more.
Off-site.
Off-site.
Plain off-site, on-site.
Well, on-site would be on the same property that the business is located.
I have a billboard sign up like 19 North. I think it says.
Okay, now let me address that.
Thanks, right.
Yeah, now the code presently and will still exempt signs that require a state or federal permit.
Oh, okay.
So this is on county roads, essentially.
Beach Road, Bucket Road.
Right, correct.
This is county roads.
Yes.
Basically, what this is referred to, gets into the beaches area.
Gotcha.
Let me share.
Did I explain it to you better, Diane?
It's what you want.
I do need to attend, I should have come to your workshop, I hope you have more. I think citizens probably need to be educated as we all do about the codes and what's happening.
In essence, it's making it more restrictive, so you won't see more of these up on county roads. Now, state roads, we don't control, so. Okay?
In for here.
Yeah. Anyone else? Before we go to the next one, because these are getting lengthy, does the board want to break or?
Just keep going.
All right. Number 22, board to hold the first public hearing, set for this date, 6:35 p.m., concerning amendment LDC 0604, the number of lot threshold for paving roads, and to consider the first amendment reading of the proposed ordinance. Motion to read by title.
No questions?
If y'all would indulge me,
Go ahead.
This item was tabled by the planning board. I don't know that it would be proper for the board to hear it. I doubt that it would be. There was not a vote recommending to deny. It was tabled. Therefore, there was no recommendation. They based it primarily on the fact that the graded road standard was not available to the public for a minimum of 10 days prior to the hearing before the planning board.
Second.
A motion to table, second by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Patterson.
And I was unsure what to do. That's why I'm standing here saying, right, and just re-advertise it and, right.
Clay has a question. You ask your question. Do we need a motion to table or just let it go? Sort of.
I think by the consensus of the board that there was a problem with the advertising.
Ms. Pat, Jack, you move your motions? Motion withdrawn.
And there wasn't a problem with advertising. The problem was that they did not have a drawing 10 days prior, they only had 2 days prior.
The planning board attorney's advice to the planning board was that the public should have been able to view this graded road standard 10 days prior to the meeting. And based on that primarily, now they may have had other reasons, but they chose to table it in lieu of recommending to deny it.
We have to advertise again.
It has to be totally done over again from
The 10
scratch.
days, do we have to advertise the 10 days that it's available for review now?
Well, if it's a part of the packet, then it's available to review. That's not a problem. The board also understands that this proposed amendment is fairly intertwined with 06-1 and that the impacts are related.
The reason for this, it wasn't advertised first, the reason for this was we're going to take away a 15-acre exemption. This is in rural development, we really want to line on. We want to go to our non-line standards. The whole purpose of this is to kind of help out the developer on the 15 acres, in other words, to give them something that's more powerful, which is the graded road standard, which holds up quite well in the county. On the other hand,
Item number 23, the board to hold the first of 2 public hearings set for this date at 6:40 p.m. concerning amendment LDC 06-5, allowing rail lines outside of the industrial land use category, and to consider the first reading on the proposed ordinance adopting said amendment. Motion to read by title.
Motion to read by title.
Motion by Commissioner Patterson, second by Commissioner Page. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Conrad.
I'm sorry, anybody want to speak to this? I forgot. Diane?
I have another question. Does, 2 questions. First, does this make it easier for the proposed coal plant to do business in Taylor County?
Danny, well, I would assume as much. I would answer that question, yeah.
I think it would keep the board from having to change 69 kV or greater power line right away to railroad track waterways. We have to pass by that industrial if we don't change. So from a paperwork standpoint, it probably makes it easier.
But you don't want that deemed industrial, because once you deem it industrial, then what you're gonna do is anywhere on that track, if somebody wants to come in and put an LDR, since it's contiguous, you can put an industrial site there. In other words, it makes it easier for them to get an industrial site there, you don't wanna make that whole area an industrial site.
All
That's my feeling. We got our, Taylor Energy Center folks here. They can speak to whether it'd be easier for them. I think it'd be easier if we do it the way we got facilities.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Reppel. I'm an attorney from Tallahassee representing the participants in the Taylor Energy Center. And I've been following this amendment to the land development regulations because we will require a rail spur and some transmission lines associated with the Taylor Energy Center. And so this is of interest to us. First, I would say from a policy perspective, you do not want slivers or ribbons of industrial zoning throughout the county wherever you have rail lines or transmission lines. And in fact, it's my understanding that your existing rail lines and transmission lines, in fact, are not zoned or are not in industrial districts. And in fact, I'm advised by Mr. Greiner and others that they don't recall why this provision or when this provision got into the LDRs, and that doesn't seem to make sense. And it doesn't, for exactly the reason that Commissioner Bethea mentioned. If you have these ribbons of industrial districts running through your county, then any property owner along that ribbon of industrial district can make the argument that they should be rezoned industrial because they are now consistent with the adjacent land use, which is this industrial ribbon. So it opens you up for some mischief in the future. But perhaps more importantly, from my perspective, from a legal perspective, is that this revision to your land development regulations is required to bring it into compliance with statute. Under Chapter 163, there is a definition of development that can be regulated by comprehensive plans and land development regulations. Certain activities are exempted from that definition of development. Both the creation of rights-of-way and the construction of rail lines and power lines, among other things, are exempted from that definition of development. And that is because it wouldn't benefit any of us if every local government could impose different regulations on these linear facilities that go through multiple local government jurisdictions. And that is why the Public Service Commission has been given exclusive authority to regulate the transmission power grid, for example. And the Department of Transportation has authority to regulate the rail lines. And both of those authorities, because they are condemning authorities, they have the power of eminent domain, they have oversight by the courts. They can't just go in and condemn, place one of these linear facilities wherever they want with no oversight. The court looks at whether they have considered things like land use, environmental impacts, alternative routes, safety, planning, future planning. And so there is oversight for these activities, but the legislature has not given that oversight to local governments for good reason. And so again, I think the overriding legal reason to adopt this amendment is to bring your land development regulations into compliance with Florida statutes. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll go to the next public hearing. If you would, indulge me real quick while we're here. Number 24, the board considers setting second public hearings on the Tuesday, October 17, 2006, regarding the passage of the above proposed ordinances. Motion by Commissioner Bethea, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye. Aye. If the board will indulge me one more. Number 33, Green Street paving update. Can you get that now so the staff wants to say they can? Sure. Is that okay to go now?
Yes, sir. We are finishing our construction, the plans and the layout. We have, our goal is to finish the design by October, to have an RFP ready to bring to the board for approval by mid-October, early October, mid-October. Have the board approve it, and once the board has approved it, to advertise it. Once the advertisement is complete, we plan to have our bids received by December.
No, finished by, if I remember correctly, December 2008.
I would have to go back and look at that documentation.
What we had was, we were going out to fall in January, and spring, and sort of.
I think we were officially awarded the bid though after July, the fiscal year started this year for the state of Florida, if I remember correctly, but we can verify that. Make sure that we're in good shape. Ken and I have talked about it, Leah, and we feel comfortable we can get it done.
Just try to make sure we set that timeline up for
There's a
it.
bunch of projects that are all right now.
And I can tell you that that project is on the top of the list.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Back on track, number 12, the board received an update on the Department of Community Affairs, DCA. Issues were requested by the board on September 7, 2006. Comment?
We, Mr. Bay and I and Bob Shirley had a telephone conference with the attorney for DCA. We did very far with them, but we did request that we have an audience with Valerie, I can't remember her last name. Valerie. I'm gonna call Valerie.
I can't remember.
Valerie Green. That's the.
I don't know. I can't remember.
We requested an audience with Valerie because she would be the one that the attorney for DCA, Kelly Martin, said would be making a decision whether to go forward with their complaint. And we also reviewed at that meeting some of the documents that we had and also some of the documents that DCA had, which was ample to be able to support our position at that meeting. We're not able to do that, but we're ultimately going to hear. I mean, that's just the way it looks.
What decision you made, the board decision made, the decision made that we're going to give us time for right now, we have given them our response. They don't do it. They don't do it.
Yeah, that's, well, one of the things she said, and I meant to try to pull that document from part of the planning council. In that document, she said it's a 4-lane highway off the beach road. Does that document say that? That's what she told us on the phone.
Talking about evacuation routes, like
Evacuation.
4-lane highway, and I told them, you and I reviewed it, if it was, we didn't see it.
I don't remember that. Danny, you go back and check and make sure that doesn't have a 4-lane highway. I'm wondering if it has 2 lanes coming out, one coming out of East, one coming out of Steve Hampshire or something like that. I don't know. That was one of her things. I'll tell you, I was very disappointed in that conversation. I really would like to go even look at this. Attorney, I'd like to get over this side and figure out how to get it. She had no negotiation.
There wasn't any negotiation.
Well, should we request another meeting?
We're going to, the board agrees, it's going to be Conrad himself and Shipper with the model. That we'll go up and we're going to try, Valerie spoke very positive that, hey, if we can show this, it's sort of a bit different. Valerie should go back to the same concept that there was, Kevin Martin was going to have the same idea that there was there, it was forward, and one of the questions I have, we got into the situation about DCA asked us to clarify the high hazardous area.
It came about as part of the EAR process. I couldn't give you a specific time or date when that first.
I would like us to do documentation to find out why my understanding, we were asked to clarify this. This is not something this board decided.
I don't have any information there. I'm searched for that. What they're pointing to is documentation that they provided from the initial adoption of the comprehensive plan, where they recognize
been a videotape.
You need a videotape.
George may have a videotape. Do you need it for policy?
We sure would like to make a copy of it. You can ask her about that. I'll appreciate it. Give me a call, okay?
Anyway, you know, if the board would allow us to go up and try to discuss the salary one more time, but, you know, I was very disappointed, Kim. I was very disappointed that she's right out of the gate. There's nothing here. I don't know what you're gonna line you up and talk about up here. That's literally why.
I have no objection to you and Sheffield coming in. This is DCA.
I have no objection.
What's your name again?
Should have answered by now.
All right, what's her name, please? Kelly Martin. Doc?
Well, it wasn't actually a meeting, all it was a meeting, and we did it by telephone, discuss the issues, and, Valerie was not there, and Valerie is the one that was, making the decision, on the guidelines, and I'm not correct.
Valerie making the decision.
Valerie makes the final decision.
And Valerie was the only voice of reason that was down here.
At the meeting, yes, that everybody was there, and so that's, we want to talk to Valerie, because we made some representations that Valerie had done.
And the rest of the staff here, you know, would not acknowledge that there was, you know, possibility that they didn't have to say.
And another thing for information, that the people are here, there were different folks that were there at the meeting with DCA as opposed to who were talking to on the phone, because Kelly Martin was not at the meeting with the DCA. The first meeting that the public, that's the other reason why I want to, just a video.
Did I shut up her? And as I recall, we didn't get a good explanation about why she wasn't there.
Doc?
Get that.
The board will recall when we were asking, I requested that the follow-up mediation be held here in the day, we would take it come down here. We've had 90 days to get our ducks in order, and all due respect to the board, we have had, we had more than ample time, and I've given you a lot of information in the past, but I will ask you to do some research. We need to get this thing resolved, or it's going to drag on forever. I feel that possibly we can resolve it in mediation if we agree to it with them, and they are in concurrence also. If we go through the administrative activities, this could continue to drag on for several months. And this not only affects, you know, my personal property, but it affects other properties on the coast and communication north. And so we need to try to get this to mediation, as soon as we can get this thing resolved once and for all. I think we have a pretty good legal argument. Mr. Bishop and I discussed this in the past, I've given all the information which I feel will support that argument. I have some other points about it in that mediation. I feel that if we do enter into mediation, there's a couple of points we need to stipulate on before we get to the full session. And I will not get into those stipulations at this point in time. I want to reserve that right away. But there's been some things that's occurred with DCA, with the planning council, that has contributed to a lot of confusion. And so, you know, we need to get into mediation, solve those things once and for all. Let's not go to the administrative hearing, because it's going to drag this matter on for several months.
Anyone else? Before we do break, I just made a mistake too. Did anyone wish to speak on item 33, Green Street? Hearing none, we'll have a 5-minute recess. I asked the full board before I did that.
Good, how are you?
Saw you downtown the restaurant.
Yeah, I meant to speak with you. I thought you were on the computer. I said,
No, I'm not. I'm trying. I'm getting there. After years ago, we made sure I never got.
well, anyway, good to see you.
You too. You too. I thought, was your son with you then, or was that somebody from the Christmas? There was a young guy with you and I.
Oh, no.
tonight, Conrad?
Good. Our football team stinks.
Which one?
Florida State.
Oh, wow. Just some offense. That was awful.
Jeff Biden has had 6 years to mess around. He's arrogant. He's an idiot.
And he's protected by his daddy.
And you know why his daddy protects him?
Well, you want to go to job over there?
Well, because mama is required. What's going to happen is that they're going to let the thing go down. People are going to stop bringing their money, and they're going to stop buying. And it's harder to get people back than it is to get them initially. Right? And then the commentators, and they said we're getting apathetic. You know, I can give a lot of money around here. I have like 13 season tickets. And I'm a golden. I'm tired of it, you know? And I'm just a little fella. I'm not one of these big zillion guys.
I know, it's disappointing.
You know?
And it's the same thing every game. The same thing over and over and over.
And he won't take responsibility for it. He like for instance, he wouldn't let Weatherford audibleize against Clemson because he said he audibleized wrong against Troy, but if he'd audibleized correctly, we probably would have beat Clemson. And then Mickey Andrews let some, and Mickey Andrews, who I love, but every third down play, we rush through. We put in our dime package, and we don't get to the quarterback. And if you'll notice that game, every time on first and second down when he threw the ball, and we were in his face, he did not complete a pass.
Right. You're right. If they would have started right off the bat, putting pressure on him, and just kept every play, he'd got so shaken up he wasn't going to do anything.
It's unbelievable.
He'd been worried about covering his butt instead of completing a pass.
Right. What Sonny says is it's time to take the keys away from the old man. If he's not gonna get rid of the deadwood. And I hear people tell me that he's arrogant and he's a terrible recruiter because he's so arrogant. He's a fool who doesn't have anything to be arrogant about. He wasn't a good football player. He caught one pass.
Yeah, he's a terrible coach.
He's a terrible coach. I wouldn't. If every day you came up here to the meeting and there were 25 people who said you were a terrible road superintendent, after a while you say,
I've had enough.
I don't give you a job. Same is true.
I can carry water out of my field.
Same is true with my job. You know, everybody came up and says, "No, you're not doing your job, Conrad." I'm gonna get another job.
Yeah, I heard that.
Motion by Commissioner McCain, second by Commissioner Page. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Number 14, Rick Greer, TCBA. To appear to request board consideration of proposed ordinance that would benefit all new existing businesses. Is there a motion or do you want to discuss?
My name's Rick Greer. I'm with the TCBA. This sales tax exemption for electricity. I tried to put everything in your package that was pertinent, including a statement from the Department of Revenue covering our situation of where you do not charge a municipal utility tax, in their reading of whether our businesses within the enterprise zone would be eligible under those circumstances. So I'm here to answer any of your questions. It appears to me in my organization that it's at no cost to you and a benefit to, potential benefit to our eligible businesses. And I am here to ask your consideration for passing an ordinance which will require a public hearing.
Any example of the?
There is no cost to the taxpayers. This is just for the businesses that are in our enterprise zone that are in the county, not in the city. City charges a municipal utility tax. This would be apply only to businesses in the county that are in the enterprise zone. Advertise for a public hearing, yes, yes.
A motion and a second. I have a question. Give us an example of a business, please.
This would be any non-manufacturing business, because the manufacturing business does not need to be in an enterprise zone to be already eligible for this.
Can you give us
So,
an example of a business that you know, or can you not do that?
oh no, I could give you
I missed this meeting, so that's all.
discount pool supply, which is in the county. Your hardware store in Steenhatchee.
All in motion? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
So this tax here goes to the state.
I'm going to review the ordinance, I might change a couple of things that I may not, and then I'll also prepare the notice for
I'll leave your next hand. We got to review. Number 15, the board consider release of appropriated funds FY 05-06 in the amount of $200,000 requested by Rick Greer, TCBA. Motion by Commissioner Page, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Sorry, I'm going to stand back up. Number 16, the board to discuss the community contribution proposal from the Taylor County Energy Center as presented by Buddy Humphries, County Administrator.
So just say that was submitted to me, you've got a copy of it in your packet, and this is their counter proposal, for lack of a better term, from your last discussion that you had with them.
Is there discussion and or motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
let me go over the benefit of public. The community contribution proposal that we received back from the Taylor Energy Center. The $100,000 contribution to the Taylor Technical Institute remains the same, what we asked for. The federal Taylor Energy Center community fund is included in this proposal, indeed, that's what we asked for. Funding for the county, year of construction, at $1 million a year, that's been added. The annual contribution has been increased to $3 million for the first 30 years, estimated 3.5% per year. This is more than their original proposal. We eliminated the community fund management board. The board decided that these funds should be listed by the county commission. Go back and tell them five. Pardon? Let's get them five.
Give them five.
An annual contribution for 30, for years 31 through 40. There's no contribution in the original proposal for that. But that's been added at $1 million a year for those years 31 through 40. Number 8, the intended use of the funds is broadly defined. And as I mentioned earlier, the distribution of these funds will be determined by the Board of County Commissioners and not some appointed group of people. It's not quite as much as our proposal as far, but I think it's a fair proposal. It's better than the initial proposal. Mr. Chairman, I can vote for it.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that informed.
So that's present value for safety discussion.
Second for discussion.
What's net present value for?
The NPV of the first 30 years is comparable to the NPV the first time. We restructured the deal. The NPV on the, sorry? Oh, well, you want to know the number? The NPV is, let's see, excuse me, is about $63,811,000 total. Nominal value of the total package is $179 million.
That's including the last 2 years.
Yes, that's correct.
So if you put the last 10 years in there and do the nominal value, it's actually less than the first proposal.
It's just virtually a push with respect to nominal value at the first time. What we did, obviously, is we took the proposal made by the board. We went back to take a look and see what we could do to look at your concerns and look at what we were trying to put together from the project perspective. And clearly, from our perspective, there were some significant issues that we felt we were losing from a project basis. Most specifically, originally, we felt that we were going to have more participation as a community group with respect to administration and, in fact, some ownership with respect to the administration of the trust fund, those types of things, which you thought brought a great deal of value to the project. We went back and said, what can we do within those bounds and see what you all needed? This gets back to the whole proposal we talked about originally that was originally negotiated is what can we do from a project perspective and what can we afford to do and make it work? We restructured in order to meet the requests of the board to the extent that we could and meet both your criteria and the criteria that we felt we could do. Because obviously what we want to do is be a strong community partner, meet your concerns to the best we can, and meet the project's objectives as well.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just curious what discount rate you use for retail.
5%. I was trying to look up my own, what was the other net presentation?
16,378 in rebate. There's 2 cents of a percent difference in the unit over.
Now, what will happen this one, we'll have a contract between the county and TEC.
We'll follow up on the contract once we have all agreement on business terms, we'll come back with the agreement that sets up the conditions.
In more detail than that.
Number 16.
I think the next, okay, I'm off the agenda, I'm sorry.
Next
I'm
one
sorry.
would be 26.
And how does this work if perchance there isn't construction of over an entire plan in our community? What happens?
We get no money.
I mean, you're just acting like, of course it's gonna happen. And I'm wondering why people go to trouble if you're not sure.
I think we're being proactive, or at least I think I am. I'm speaking for the board that if we do have a 12-plan bill, we want to make sure our citizens gets a good deal. And so we're putting in place, and I think that's your intent as well, that if they do get approval, up front, there's this is what we need to communicate. Am I understanding off the record?
That's correct. And there's $100,000 that's actually before the final decision before the next receipt. So
Which goes to TTI here pretty quick. Because if they don't come, TTI just moves out.
Will there also be any baseline data, I don't know how you say that in NPV words, about the health of the community? The PIA that I object to came out using figures about what a community we are, that we're fat, we're at risk of a lot of things that can be aggravated by health emissions. So I'm wondering about that kind of data and the health costs, the intangible to this process. Will anybody be looking at evaluating what the cost will be to the citizens of the community and surrounding areas of health?
I feel the TCBOCC study addresses that. I disagree with it, your take on the meeting. But this was mainly what they're going to do for the community, and I know Kevin hates it when I say this, but it's a little tactics. But I mean, that's in essence what we're doing, is trying to say, what are you going to give back to the community? So, because at this point, they can build it and say, see you guys. I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I think they're trying to be proactive and say, we want to give back to the community. This is what the residents say.
Okay, that clarifies that you can't pay money with the health issues.
Again, I think the idea that Rick's getting done and the TCA board will address that side. you buy the property and then they don't give you the permit for the plant, are you gonna hold the property, or are you gonna sell the property back, or?
Obviously, that decision will be made time that we get that project we would pursue in the CC, we can make this site.
And I understand you now, okay. Again, earlier, I knew you were all property, 3,400. I said, hey, what you doing here? They're taxing them for how many years?
Until they resell it.
It's only $14,000, because right now it's under ag belt. But the amount, I understand, but where you're looking at it, it's $11 million, it's $14,000.
In other words, you're taking a dog.
Well, and they are too, because they'll get a permit, they have to buy land somewhere else to construct, and then you liquidate that asset, you have to buy somewhere else to sue. And that's all we're supposed to do.
I wish you could me out, I didn't know what you're talking about, start with, because we're talking about $30 million. And y'all keep talking about $179 million. And this interest rate, you can't figure it.
We're not talking about $30 million.
All we were talking about net present value, just a way for us to analyze where you do something like this over many years, it's just a way for us to analyze it in today's dollars. And every time they give us an offer, if we put it in a net present value formula, it just gives us a way to take a look at those dollars. That's all it is. It's the interest rate, you either chose 4%, 5%, 10%, as long as you use the same interest rate over all the criteria, that's all we do.
And in reality, that's what it will be. Clay's using, and I agree with Diane on this, net present value loses me. I mean, show me the actual dollars, which is what the overall proposal does. And I understand the overall dollars. The net present value loses to me, so.
All the net present value does for us, if they give me $1 million the first year, and then year 30, they give me $170 million, or if they distribute through the whole, it basically tells me where the value is.
What I'm still saying, and I'm up on the utility closing costs.
Well, I think any business does an analysis, and we've done an analysis, and the land transaction is not ours. Land transaction is ours. That's not ours, that's between both.
I disagree, because if we didn't have this agreement, then they're going to still buy the land with or without the agreement, so it's going to go off the rolls. This gives us money when it goes off the rolls, if they build a plant. If they did not give us this agreement, and they buy the property, we have nothing. So if nothing, if anything, we're providing a safety net that we will get something if a plant is built. We don't get anything either way if they don't build the plant. If they buy the land, cover the plant, their taxes in, they don't pay anything. If they build the land without an agreement, and buy the land without an agreement, and then build the plant without an agreement, we get nothing. So all the commission's doing is setting up, when they break ground, we will get something.
I think the issue, the tax exemption is in place regardless
Exactly.
of whether or not they build, they don't build. That has nothing to do with Taylor County.
Thanks.
That has to do with the fact that it's an electrical utility in the country. It has nothing to do with us. So we're not going to get the money anyway. So what they tried to do was to make a deal that said, look, if you want to come to our county, at least be good citizens and help us with additional funding for the things that we're going to need, like infrastructure and things like that. But I think that's what it actually is. And the hundreds of bills that you hear about, a lot of that has to do with the extended benefits to the county too.
Thanks, that's why it makes it helpful. She can tell me my research purposes.
I'll be 80 years old by the time we get all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are they collecting tax on the land for whoever owns it now?
$14,000 for the total land per parcel.
Per year?
Per year.
Okay, if they buy it and they will build, and the county doesn't get any money,
I tell you what, the 3,500 acres we're talking about here is nothing compared to the hundreds of thousand acres that our state owns in our county, and they don't pay any taxes on, and that's why we have some of the tax bills we have.
That's still a separate issue. What we're trying to do is make sure once they build the plant, the community gets a good return for it. They can call, at one point, Foley out because they're one to call Buckeye, buy the entire facility, and tomorrow it's back to them. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. You could go out and buy the 3,400 acres. There's nothing we can do to stop it. I'm just telling you, we don't control the land sale. No, they're not paying taxes because they're exempt regardless of where they buy. They can buy here, they can buy in Tallahassee, and they're going to be exempt. They can buy anywhere in the state, and they are exempt.
Commissioner, I think this is a sidebar conversation between, and I think we need to.
Number 26, the board will further discuss extension of cemetery mowing contract with Tip Top Services reagenda from September 7, 2006. Who reagenda this?
You did.
Okay.
I'll give you an update. There was some question at the last board between one of the cemeteries and some damage that had occurred at the cemetery over years. Andy and I met with Mr. Rao.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
I know what the board, thank y'all for your proposal.
Well, thank you all.
I amended the board play, but we have to thank y'all for bringing it back.
We think this is just the first one, maybe things.
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, all right, that's all right. After the last meeting, we met with Mr. Rao representing the church and Mr. Lundy, the pastor at Pleasant Grove. We went out there and assessed the damage. The contractor agreed to fix what he thought that he had damaged. Once that's done, myself and Andy will go out there and meet with Mr. Lundy, and if there's further damage that he felt like he hadn't caused, then you authorized me at the last meeting for the county to repair that damage. That's where we are. That's the facts on that particular issue. If we renew this contract, we're going to renew it less. We will not do, contract does not want to do Pleasant Grove Baptist Church Cemetery.
Is there a provision in the contract we can remove that and lower the?
I'm sure there is. I've got a copy of the contract. And there's one more that somebody said that they wanted removed, and I looked for the documents. I don't know if I was still here. I looked for the document and can't find it, but if they do, we'll be more than happy to remove it. And I think if you accept this and extend the contract, those two should be removed. One of them doesn't want any public assistance, right? All of that one. And I'm looking for it. Yeah, that's fine. That's correct. That's correct. Well, I think we can do a better job as a county, and that's my office and Andy's, that we have written documentation on a monthly basis on the cemeteries that are mowed and what was done and if the damage was caused, and then we can report that to the board, or we can have it in the file if anybody, like Mr. Rao, would like to see it. That kind of eliminates the problem of he said, she said. And we should do that and do a better job at that. Now, what do we do with Pleasant Grove is an issue that you have to resolve. Do you want to go out for a separate contract for Pleasant Grove?
You have another comment on that? I just comment. We have it, you know that we've got 6-7 weeks contract, is another 3 weeks. Or, but get that price into the trash. 60-something bonders up there, trash, and also, and all the slabs, they run over the food line, some trash, and all, all issue, time issue.
We agree. He should measure up to his contract. Every contract we have should be measured up to. Yes. No, we have not. I haven't done anything to talk to the board tonight. We haven't discussed anything with them as far as a figure.
Make a motion to read the contract.
Discussion. We have a motion, is there a second discussion? Second discussion, go ahead.
My concern is, once the contract, then if we approve this, take the plastic road out for him and start, or any other contract, start cherry picking which ones we want to do and which ones we don't. I mean, if the money's, the same stays the same, and we delay all the work, what we can't. Yeah. Maybe, what we ought to do is figure out, the contract right now, we have one sign, right? And maybe what we ought to do is break it out by cemetery. Figure out.
Mr. Lee said he did that when he originally did it, he had to separate it out by cemetery. He did. And not in the contract, he did it himself, come up with his contract price.
Any part of the contract that trying to be enforceable?
Well, I'm looking at your contract with File, predecessor of Tip-Top, right?
Correct.
And it names the cemeteries in the contract, there's paragraph 3, that would be, for lack of a better term. And then there's
Some additional mowing.
no parking and walking areas on the following cemeteries, which are not all the same cemeteries.
Correct.
And then it talks about right of way, so it specifically gives what areas of the county is going to be, that they're going to be done. My suggestion, I don't know if you're going to like this suggestion or not. I'm going to make it anyway. Yeah. I think you need to read that contract.
Some of it's changed. Some of it's good, some of it's new cemeteries. So the law has changed. But I really think it does too cheap. But certainly get it, probably, would be okay. We printed, I appreciate the way you do it, and take out, maybe street, it wasn't just mine, it was 9 weeks and a half. We worked for another time, it was credit. I don't know if they think we're looking at it. It's always a little clear, but we should. For college, they can't do a decent job on ours. So they're not going to do that. We don't want all of it.
Okay. You've heard council, we have a motion and a second to approve.
Well, I can only tell you what Andy's told me and what I've seen personally, and then I can only say what I saw at Pisgah. There was damage at Pisgah. Some of it was obviously caused by mowers and weed eaters. Pleasant Grove, I'm sorry, Pleasant Grove. And some of it, the contractor said, we obviously did it. Some he disagreed with. He said he couldn't have done it. And it was a he said, she said type of deal. That's why the county was willing to go in there and meet with Preacher Lundy and talk about it later to try to repair it. I do think this, I think that Mr. Rowell is correct, that the price is way too cheap for the requirements that we have in this contract. But that's not your problem, that's the contractor's problem. People expect a lot at their cemeteries, and we have more phone calls probably about cemeteries than we do anything else. I suspect if you do it right and monitor the contract like I'm talking about monitoring, you'll see this contract come in around $50,000. That's my handy mind. That's a guess. And I know it's better than it was when I first started, since he's had this, than it was with the previous contractors. But it's still not to the point where we should be. Expires this month and has renewal. That was an agreement between Mr. Rao and him at the meeting, it just would not work now.
Me, he's got a business. We can't start pulling out different cemeteries. We got to pass. We pulled in these springs out, we pulled the knock short out, but we didn't rebuild somebody else.
No, they were pulled out of the request of the cemetery committee.
Mr. Rouse not requesting that.
No, he did not request that. No. That's correct. That's correct.
What needs to happen is, this contract's expired anyway, so we can do it, and I'm fine with doing it, but we need to do it with all there. And then if he decides he doesn't want to do that, then we'll do it. But I mean,
Pleasure of the board.
renewal is okay because he's done a better job than a lot of those people we've had in the past. But he needs to take a package, or else we're good. That's my motion.
I feel that we're changing the dynamics. We need to follow council and rebid.
Well, but I'm not, he's not saying
But, so all you want is left in there then?
he wants it left in, left right.
Two issues. One, do it clause, which we can't find the record where you get there when we like you're supposed to. The other thing is, law is that we ought to take away the invoice in the county, wages cycles, which we have invoice that if he's significant on the same, get a check, and he calls, get another time on the other side, he gets a check.
Yeah, I agree, it should be invoiced after it's done.
Well, he is in contact. Now, let me stick up for, yeah.
Whether it's done or not done.
Well, I mean, in the winter time, there's not really much money. He gets paid in the winter time, he can pay.
It's split up into equal payments by contract.
But isn't he supposed to know once in 3 weeks? Well, but me, if it says, well, once in three weeks.
And you know, when they did these contracts, they consider the winter time that they're not gonna be mowed. If you require a contractor to be mowed every 3 weeks, year round, it's gonna be more than $50,000.
Boy.
What I'm saying is, he should.
Rebid it.
He should invoice not on a monthly basis, he should invoice based upon.
He just did that where he would have consistent payments throughout the year for his business, his cash flow. That's the reason he did it that way. I'm sure he did. I mean,
Well, it's just made that way ever since somebody's county. At least 3 contractors is good.
Well, no, meeting, the rules shall be completed every 3 weeks.
Keith, you got a question?
And that would say he can go out to the debris in 3 weeks and put it out, right?
No, it's specific to mowing. I think he's supposed to be, just pick up limbs, trash, whatever. Every 3 weeks, do that. District.
Man.
In the contract, I think it says mow every 3 weeks.
Contract says he ought to be out there every 3 weeks checking on it.
this is the same contract this Board of County Commissions had for years and years. Yeah.
Meg? All right, Meg has the floor.
What is the direction of the board that was that was, what is it, that particular contract?
I think you have an opportunity here, which would be to have to produce a statement of work that says, here's what you're gonna do over the course of the 12 months. Do you want this type of mowing, here's your criteria that says you've done it properly, here's how we're gonna monitor it, and here's how you get paid. They're 4 different things. They're not mowing and you get paid a dollar amount over 12 months. That's a very, very loose, simple, easy to apparently. They work contract, so. And if you don't want to mow in the winter, we're not gonna smart move, that's what we say, yes.
We can monitor the contract. We can do a better job at monitoring that. But the decision tonight is, do we want to go with the existing contract for another year and do a better job as a county in monitoring and see if we can do that, or do we want to rebid it?
All right, you got a motion, I know you sure.
What's that, Janet, now? I don't know, it was, I just don't know. We don't know till we ask our contractor.
To me, it's back still, you know, because you start splitting out, then I think the cost starts going up. I would like to go with a good deal. Scope changes, contract expired.
I don't care. Makes no difference to us.
Okay, restate.
We're doing the same thing with Ed.
Only thing I would also, I'm a member of Pleasant Grove Church, and also on our property, we have a nuisance cemetery that gets and if there's a concern about that, we just, if you're gonna revisit it anytime you are, that would go on, there's something so that things, these things, there's a little bit of something that operate equipment, people operate equipment, something's gonna happen once in a while, and these are very special signs.
General liability insurance, the contract maintains general liability insurance of the city dollars, over the county harmless, the contractor's negligence, with the county additional insurance.
And that's a good point, and I think everybody out there agreed that some of the damage was caused by the contractor, some of the damage could have been caused by other people that visit the cemetery. There's lots of things that could happen, and nobody, not Pleasant Grove and not Henry, could defend their position 100%. They just felt like that they weren't doing their job, and they had documented times where he was supposed to be there, and they thought he wasn't. Andy had phone calls where he had done his work there, so we just need to do a better job of monitoring it, and you know, if you want to extend, the contract expires, and it says in the contract, you have a 1-year extension period if that's what you want to do. It makes no difference to Andy and I just telling you the facts.
My point is, we redid the contract. We're gonna go way over $40,000.
That's what we think.
This would be a good deal for the county. The man will monitor what he does, and does problem work. For him to get $40,000, it would deal with Pleasant Grove Cemetery, and get all the other folks as a separate. We could also, but I could see a principle of that. You call, on passing, all the cemetery come up, I think it was 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. It's very simple, yeah, everybody every 10 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Sure, if he's not performing, you can pull it. He does. It's now his point of contact is Andy. I know, but I'm talking about him reporting the day-to-day operations.
Let's put this in perspective, Andy's cemetery,
I can count it for you right quick. Yes, sir. About 23, 22, 23. That's exactly right. You get what you pay for.
Here's, I just want to make a few comments. We're going to cemetery, and I thought I'd written all of the sand deal whenever I was born, between my house and Granddad's house. I found cemeteries past year, I was there, because of this, so if you do rebid this, I think you look for double.
I agree, that's why I'm saying on some of it.
And so,
If the county, let me just read one more thing, and then I'll think this for that.
motion was to renew the contract with Tip Top. The motion was made by Commissioner Bethea and seconded by Commissioner Brown. Motion to renew contract with Tip Top. Second for discussion.
I'd like to see a motion to amend this, you renew it, allow them to renew it, and when we say we're renewing it, that includes just a matter of dealing with Henry. You recognize judge for not doing Henry. Yeah, I should make an adjustment for not doing Henry.
Then we're changing the contract. You're changing the contract then.
You've done that before, people requested a cemetery taken out, you've taken the cemetery out without all the way coming.
Because he had bid on it already.
I mean, or they're within contract, signed, but what's, not like one suggestion, they have to move the money. Before he gets paid, he submits an invoice, and says, on what day, you know that cemetery can pick up you for the credit check, as well as supposed to do. Before he submits for check, I'll be happy with it. If somebody wants it, you hear that, buddy?
Oh, sure, we can put any controls on any contractor that you want to.
I think it would be very useful what they move. I think, probably I think it'd be very easy. Just take a spreadsheet, here's the cemeteries, here's the mowing, write the date in, pick up trash, write the date in, pick up limbs. And I think you should have that every month. And that answers all the questions.
I appreciate that, and one more, did you look at the road, sign the road contract?
Let's not get into that. I have a motion, and my motion includes Andy doing that. All right, all the questions.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I'm sorry. I have a comment too. I can't technically vote since it's not a tie, but I want to speak that. Go ahead. I'll go straight. I can. Oh, I can? Good. I'm against it. No problem. I'm against it.
My comment is that every time.
I just wanted to make sure, our board rules have no voice of vote, but I want the voice, I want to read that. Cool, we're good, yeah.
The amendment to the motion was that you got an agreement to continue to.
Do all of them.
That's fine, I want us to read it now.
Let's read into the contract right now.
It's the right thing to do.
All right.
No, Dale had a comment.
My comment is that every time we call in, I'm on the cemetery committee, and every time funeral, I'll call in, because we need to know, he has one of the mothers who's done a very good job. In 2000 or somewhere on there, we have a family reunion at the church every year. And all we went out in the cemetery, we have 5 grandparents, 5 generations. He went out and straightened every, get it on and put some in that cemetery. We had that little house and stuff on it. But he went out and straightened every headstone, set them like that, and made, all of the history of the family in the cemetery, all people going out and looking at the 5 generations of our family. But I did like to say that Andy's done an excellent job of responding to our homecoming here past June. You know, he made sure there was no one about the sidewalk. And a lot of times it does get weeds and dirt up there.
Anytime we have a funeral, the funeral home generally contact Andy or directly to our contractor and say, we've got a funeral at so-and-so, would you go out there and make sure that it's presentable for the family? And he's never, ever failed, even last minute, some of y'all involved in this call, at the last minute to go out there and do that. When he does that, that takes time away from the 3-week cycle that he's running at another cemetery. So, you know, I just don't want to beat Henry up here.
I don't know, anybody against it, I'm not going to be Henry up, so I like it a lot. I mean, I was. Henry the contract, I mean, I just think it's a business, as like Jack said, you can just look at it from the business side of it. I don't see how, one, he's making a profit, and two, it's just, we start changing it, I'd like to see us get it out. I mean, I don't want it, anyone to see that I'm against Henry. Pulling stuff out, putting things on the next item.
The motion carried.
The motion carried. The motion carried to renew the contract for all cemeteries, but not including the one we pulled out the past, right? We pulled out Henry.
No, Henry's in there. Yeah, Henry's in there now.
Actually, pulled one out, I'm sorry. I apologize. Moving on, though, passed 3-2. Number 28, the board to consider fiscal year 2007 agreement between the county and the North Central Florida Regional Planning Council. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Calling for a second for the second time.
Second, we're going out for,
We have a motion and a second. Wait a second. No, you guys have discussion.
I don't mind it, do I have choice?
I think we're going out for bid. Why didn't you get anybody else?
I don't know, I get it, but didn't get any bids, and we're still trying to hire a planner.
I think we should hire a planner.
We're trying.
My concern is that the North Central Florida Regional Planning Council represents the DCA more than they do the county.
We have all the ties to it.
And we never say in them, we are asking for it.
What's the dollar amount of that?
21,000.
Yeah, but the problem is that we're hiring somebody to be against us instead of against us.
Well, they do help us on something. There were some things that we had definitely felt that they represented somebody's point of view other than ours.
They can't like conflict down those things, kind of, we have to conflict down.
There's still not this consensus relationship on there.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Aye. Carries 4-1. Number 28, the board, I'm sorry, number 29, the board to receive bid committee recommendation for impact fee proposals as presented by the county administrator, buddy.
I think in your package you've got a copy of our recommendation.
Legislation. Recommendation.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bethea, second by Commissioner Page. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Dr. Nichols from University of Florida. He was the lowest bidder, and he met all the qualifications that the committee reviewed and felt like that he could do that. Now, this is going to be, and you'll see the notes there, this is going to be a labor-intensive job for staff to get this information together. It'll probably be a year-long process before you get to the point where you actually write an ordinance to develop an impact fee.
Item number 30, the board to consider approval of extension of county administrator's contract agenda by the county administrator. I will pass the gavel to make a motion recommendation to extend this contract. Wait till I finish the motion because you may not second it. Extend his contract until we can retain the services of the new county administrator or an interim county administrator and raise the salary and aggregate to $125,000 in the interim period. No. So we've already from this point forward after that new salary range.
I want you to know that I have not done
Buddy Humphreys had nothing to do with that. I didn't inform before the meeting. I plan on doing that, however. 100.
Yeah, I take back my second, I think we're all.
Exactly. That's why I said please wait until I finish. You do 110.
I can do what the highest paid elected public official gets. That's about 90.
Part of the 100,000.
I'm doing it.
Mr. Farmer, you doing 100 too? All right, make sense, rush to 100 then.
I'll second.
All in favor,
Motion. Y'all what? I got a motion, raising Buddy's salary, extending the contract, towards up for discussion. Buddy, did you follow up on the question I asked?
No, I didn't.
Liability?
Yes, Conrad, I didn't ask.
Conrad, what's the liability as far as his contract? If somebody came along and filed ethics charge 2 weeks after he left office, is he covered by the
Or
county?
any kind of suit.
Or any kind of suit, is he covered by the county? In this county?
Claims made while he was, the county administrator, my position would be to be covered by the claims made.
Okay.
You're telling me that?
Yeah, claims made according to his job as county.
Right, during the time that he was.
He's covered. I have a motion for 100,000, everybody's salary up to 100,000. All in favor, please see the question. I'm sorry.
I would just caution you, my understanding of claims made insurance was related to malpractice insurance, many of my docs, is that it's when the claim is made. So if you have insurance at the time that he is employed, when the claim is made, he's covered. If the claim is made after he's employed, he's not covered. That's called current policy. You have the current policy that if he's not employed and the claim relates to a matter that occurred while he was employed, he's covered.
We're talking about liability insurance. We were talking about ethics complaints.
Well,
So it's basically,
That's what we're talking about liability.
so basically, Rick, you understand, it's backed by the full faith of the county government, that's y'all, is what backed by. Okay.
But all I want to do is make sure, as far as it to be put in the minutes, that Buddy is covered for any liability in his contract. And that's correct, right? Well, wrong. I want it wrong.
I answered the question as to ethics.
And what about broadening any other one?
Well, the county is covered, the county or its employees are covered by the general liability policy.
It would be just like the situation when I took over, a previous planning coordinator was involved in the suit and the insurance covered.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries, 3-1.
Number 32, the board discussed interlocal.
You find one of those things, the basis is because of your application may into the financial benefit regarding your tax.
Number 32, the board discussed interlocal agreement between the board and Doctors Memorial Hospital, DMH, regarding fuel or EMS, and Fairfield County Attorney Conrad.
I think you got a copy of a very simple, there.
It's in there, or should be.
Item 32 is on my letterhead. It's got some lights in it, which is automated when it's entered into. And we had agreed to sell fuel for the automatic operation of the ambulance. And we're doing this for a period of how long? And then terminate it in 30 days notice. And we're beginning to,
This piece of fuel with gasoline we're talking about.
you will operate the ambulance, is whatever.
That's all.
That's all, it's the savings. That's all, they go to the road department like everybody else, including the sheriff. They buy their fuel there and they'll save them the cost of having to pay retail for fuel, which should cut Rick's costs and maybe use his profit somewhere else.
Motion.
We have a motion. Second by Mr. Hayes, all those in favor.
All you want for it, year?
So let it coincide with the agreement that we have with the county, building provisions in that trust.
That would be good.
It's an annual agreement.
motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Vote clear, yes.
I only have two items, informational items, but they're both very important. The first one, I received a letter from Doctors Memorial Hospital. I'd like to read it to you, and it has to do with insurance. This is from Rick Brown. Dear buddy, I want to make you aware of a dramatic change the hospital has experienced in obtaining property insurance as it relates to hurricane coverage, wind, and flood. Last year, we had $22 million of coverage for all potential mishaps, fire, hurricanes, etc. We had a $50,000 deductible for this coverage and an annual premium of $44,000. This year we have $22 million coverage for fire. However, for named storms, hurricanes, and tropical storms, we were only able to afford to purchase $5 million of coverage. This coverage has a $250,000 deductible. The annual premium for this coverage is $112,000, a 255% increase in the premium from last year for less coverage. We were quoted an additional $5 million coverage on top of the base $5 million for additional $75,000 per year, but we could not afford to purchase it. I do not believe we're in violation of the lease we have with the county as it pertains to insurance coverage, but wanted to bring to your attention the enormous change in availability of coverage and cost. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. When I read that letter, I went and I thought, what is the hospital worth? Without doing a lot of work today on the property rolls, it's on the property rolls for $14,444,000. So I don't think that the insurance that he was able to afford really covers the hospital in the event of a hurricane, flood, or wind. And I asked Rick to stay at the break because this is an issue that affects all of us in the whole community. All of us as homeowners, we're all hit with this problem. Rick's got a dilemma. We've got a dilemma. How we're going to deal with it. But I know we can't leave the hospital with $5 million worth of coverage when it's on the tax rolls at $14 million. It was properly insured last year at the $22 million rate, in my opinion. Do what? 17 million, wasn't it, Rick? Oh, the wind load.
30, yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem if we were in the old building, but what we really got to is that this is a brand new hospital built for the latest hurricane over the time, and our insurance person said, welcome to Florida.
Motion to county administrator contact from council.
When's that insurance expired, Rick?
I believe it expired in July, so we got it, so we got the $5 million.
That's all we've got is $5 million, so we've got unless we've got it insured somewhere else, we've got a $15 million liability.
Jack, are you by consensus of the motion? This is the board, everybody do that?
Well, and I do want to read in the contract what it says about that. It says, in insurance coverage under 9.02 of the contract, item number 3, DMH shall maintain at its expense insurance coverage against destruction of the building and contents by fire and other hazards. So when I pulled the contract and read it, it's something you need to know.
Well, we got to stand back here. To insure this building, we're going to be at $300,000-$400,000.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I just calculate my rents and roll the dice. I'm not going to say it. I understand the bond.
We got a bond that,
I understand that.
and, I mean, it is, and
I understand that.
calculate the risk is one thing, but I don't think we can do that with bond.
Well, I understand, what I'm trying to say is, I understand the bond, we get that deal in. But right now, we got the limit here, and I don't try to resolve it, but I need a lot more information. I don't expect the hospital to go out and get $20 million.
can't we all sign it, every citizen in the county? I mean, it affects not just the hospital.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, bond count come back.
Well, the problem is, there's a difference between if you got a decision to whether you can legally stay on the self-insurance bill, and you have a bond, you got to insure that. It's just like when you have a mortgage.
The first question is, obligated under the bond.
Right.
That's the first question.
You bet you are, though, probably.
I'm sure,
You should-
but let's make sure that we are, and then we need to be studying about what options can be done. That's one insurance company, right?
There were 22 insurance companies that refused to bid on the property insurance for that. We ended up with, I think, 3 companies. The company that we've been using for 10 years refused to bid on.
You have an insurance broker you're working through yet?
Yeah.
Who?
And
So that is an insurance broker, they don't sell insurance, they're brokering.
it's a big $1 billion company.
I just,
The ones that said welcome to Florida,
Right?
the broker, the one that said welcome to Florida, I don't want that.
Because that's what the insurance companies were telling him. We don't want to insure anything in Florida.
I've got somebody else. I got another broker.
Mr. Chair, I will offer you a motion.
Is the motion to declare an emergency?
No, is that first off, I want to see due diligence from the hospital about what we can do, we can't do. But the motion is that.
But wait, Zach, do I need a motion to declare this emergency motion to die?
I mean, we're discussing.
this is an informational item to you, and if you declare it's an emergency,
You will make a motion and you work for your
Let me make it a consensus item. Okay, that what we will do is make this a matter for our legislative delegation that small, rural, community hospitals need to be done for, the state of Florida that helps step up the plate for this insurance. Sort of
That's what we.
Gary, do you know if we can bind coverage on it till we get this worked out through our insurance carrier that does our own buildings, or do you have any out here?
Yeah, we could probably add it, but it's going to be for the fee.
Well, I understand, but I don't want the board to have a liability of $15 million. If we lose that hospital, we'll never rebuild it.
Well,
I'll get with Gary tomorrow.
I would think if the county owned it, I don't know how they could not cover it. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the board. We have full consensus then. Zach, you see what I was trying to do just now? Sure. Okay.
All right, now, and the only other thing, I sent you an email because we had an emergency with, we're combining animal control offices with the city, and their animal control officer had emergency surgery on the 13th of this month, and Bob Brown sent me a letter asking if we would take over immediately to continue to do that, and I agreed to do that, and I hope there weren't any problems with that, but it's something we needed to do, and we'll add it to the contract where it'd be part of the billing in the first initial billing. So we're underway with that.
Thank you. Conrad, anything for that? Ms. Pat? Yeah.
He's supposed to come me back first next week. He said he's tied up this week and set up a date and he can come down and I'm going to show it to him and tell him what we want.
Mr. Brown, that other questions you had earlier, we could put our hands on it right away. We'll have that information. I'll email it to all the board members on the start date when we got the grant, when it has to be completed, if that's the pleasure of the board.
And
I don't know.
Yeah, part of my family's gonna be the one that's hurt, and basically what they said, we like our neighbors, we'll figure out how to get their water some other way.
Okay, good.
They, sometimes, something's more important, killing all your trees. I appreciate the staff, the work y'all do, you've got quite a bit. I probably looked at some emails today and appreciate the staff, and the way you handle some of your emails, and, it's not easy always to report to the public, and, everybody wants everything, and,
Yeah, that's for sure.
anyway, I appreciate the staff, your delicacy with decisions.
I've got one more thing two things I need to mention very quickly. Yesterday, we had the dedication of the sports complex, and it rained on us. We had a good time, we went with it. I'd like to thank Rhonda Smith for her leadership putting that together, and she was very disappointed in the rain, but it went off fine, I thought. I appreciate y'all coming to it, and it'll be underway Thursday. And also, our new website is up, TaylorCountyGov.com. You'll see that on the back of our own vehicles pretty soon, but anything that the citizens need to look at that we've got electronically will be on TaylorCountyGov, that's one word, .com, www.taylorcountygov.com.
But, I got something. Are we going to start putting the whole packet, everywhere, citizens can click on that?
We've got the packet together, we've been working through it, it's been working fine.
Well, it's actually, what I've been doing for the last several weeks is running the two sites in parallel. And as I get these packets, I'm putting them on the server, so they're actually there. That's what I was doing during the meeting. I actually searched for the document off the website, and I was looking at the document, getting it through. So yes, the packets are already available, the agendas are already available. Or actually, there's a link to the current minutes database, but I think back in January, there's approved minutes in PDF form that are available on the website. It's searchable.
It's very extensive, this website.
Not just the minutes.
You're talking about this, you're talking about this book.
The 188 pages that you had tonight is available. Searchable, you can go in and search September 2006, and it will bring up a list of hits.
You type in Don first, if you're on the agenda tonight, it will pop up this agenda.
Can I share every time? Can we run a few ads in the paper that just let the citizens know now they have all the information?
Let us do it.
Yeah. What we've done here is bring the citizens into. Meg, your question?
I was just going to ask one question. So you said that you're going through and getting all the documents. Here's my question. It's Saturday morning, and I have nothing better to do but look at the county agenda, and there's 29 items on it. Is there a packet that says, here's what the 29 items, here's all the documentation attached to those 29 items in one spot? Or do I have to start going to find them?
What happens is when you look at the packets, and, for instance, when you get, to make sure I'm understanding what you're asking, when you look at the packet, there's 30-something agenda items on the packet. Each packet is set up with bookmarks. So if you're looking inside the Adobe Reader, you open up your bookmark tab, and you're going to see they're listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you click on those numbers, it carries you to the proper place inside the packet.
So for each agenda item, it'll take.
Right, so you can set them with the agenda and then follow that number over the, yes.
Okay, just a couple of things. One, I want to apologize to Ron and to the staff again. We put Clay in charge of the weather, and obviously we can't handle it. After numerous complaints, and I know Ms. Pat served this as well on Tucker Road. I know we're working on it, so I understand that portion. Is there any way, because I know Jack has the same problem with Green Street, we have the answers up here, I know they don't. Is there a way we can put an ad in the paper saying, this is the schedule we're on, so the citizens will know where they are in line? So it's repayment.
Sure, I mean, the bucket road though is not even on, it's out 2008.
Well,
2007.
We've got some roads in between the bucket road. Old Dixie is here.
Old Dixie this year.
There's some even.
Old Dixie.
I must have been looking
two have been approved, and the next one is pissed after these two.
But that's the question, is this as bad as?
Well, the trouble is, we got the engineering, like Lynn explained today, sure the engineering on Old Dixie is the same way too. And people that go to work at Buckeye will tell you that Old Dixie is just as bad.
Not as bad as Buckeye. Not as bad, nothing right now as bad as Buckeye that I read. And that's the question I have, is there any way to switch business in Buckeye?
I don't have an answer for you. I can check tomorrow and try to get back to you. I don't really know. I don't know. Don't forget your interviews. Don't forget your interviews.
I think,
Thursday.
I'm on behalf of Ms. Patty, thank y'all for helping us there, because I know she's getting just as I want to thank the staff and everyone for all their help and commission. They're always great to be with. And I'll get a motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Commissioner DeFay, second by Commissioner Page. All in favor say aye. Aye. I'll entertain a motion to go home. Motion by Commissioner Page, second by Commissioner Page. All in favor say aye.